I've been playing tournaments actively since like 2016. Since then, especially in my more active years, which was like 2017 through 2019, pretty much every single weekend was filled with tournament matches. There were some weekends where I literally had like 20 matches or something spread across Saturday or Sunday. Like I would wake up. Okay, definitely. Sometimes people ask me like, what's the longest OSU session you've had sort of consecutively? And for me, it was like 12 hours. I had a match at like 8 a.m. and then I just had matches throughout the entire day, all the way until 8 p.m. That last match, by the way, definitely trolled a lot. I was very exhausted. Do not recommend playing matches for 12 hours straight, but it is something that I did at one point, and it just kind of speaks to how actively I was playing tournaments at that time. And this tweet by Carrie that is on the screen is basically what inspired me to make this video. It says, "Sorry, can't go on a date right now. Can we reschedule to Sunday at 17 UTC?" Now, honestly, this tweet like perfectly encompasses the struggles that active tournament players go through. I think one of the most important things to keep in mind with OSU tournaments is that you are most likely competing with an international audience. And you have to keep in mind time zones. So first of all, tournament schedules are written in the universal time zone known as UTC. That is also written in a 24-hour clock. So 1 p.m. is 13, for example. And if you've ever looked up your time zone or set your time zone on your phone or something like that, and you've seen like UTC plus or minus like some number, basically what that means, like any time zone in the world can be written in terms of UTC. UTC is basically based somewhere in Europe. So if you live in Europe, then your time zone is closer to UTC. And then if you live closer to the Americas or Asia, then obviously you're further away. But yeah, I guess I want this video to be a sort of forewarning to anyone who's really looking to get into the tournament community. And especially if you want to get really, really into tournaments, there's definitely some things you're going to want to consider regarding availability of like how free you're going to be on the weekends. And sometimes rescheduling your matches around what you want to do during the weekend, and sometimes rescheduling what you want to do in the weekend around your tournament matches. Also, if you live on the very extremes of time zones, which would be West Coast in America or Australia / Eastern Asia, you need to be prepared to have either very, very early morning or very, very late night matches. For reference, the time slot that's sort of in the middle of all time zones is somewhere between 14 and 17 UTC. And if you live on the west coast of America, for example, that is like 7 to 10 a.m. And if you live in Australia, that is like midnight to 3 a.m. So obviously, I know tournaments can be a really, really fun activity or pastime for people. I know it certainly was for me throughout pretty much all of high school since I got into tournaments. So I'm not really trying to scare anyone away from playing tournaments, but I do think it's fair to sort of share my own experience with scheduling and sometimes just being really, really active. So throughout high school, my computer was not in my room. It was basically on a desk across from the kitchen. And that sort of led to my parents being very, very well acquainted with what an OSU tournament was and why I can't go out right now because I have to click these circles at a certain time. Thankfully, in my personal case, I think my parents were pretty supportive of me playing tournaments. I think for them, it was just sort of really nice to see me being so sort of involved in getting better at something and sort of entering this community where I'm competing and improving my skills regardless of what it was, I guess. But yeah, especially regarding tournament scheduling, I think a fair warning is that if your availability on weekends is not very flexible and you're interested in joining tournaments, I would suggest either finding a tournament where all the players are also around your time zone, so you don't have to worry about finding a match time that fits players from multiple time zones. And also definitely do not play too many tournaments at the same time because you will reach the point where you literally have to reschedule matches around each other. And before you know it, that will very, very quickly lead to just not having time to do pretty much anything else during the weekend. Now, if you're hearing everything that I'm saying and you're like, OMG, wait, that actually sounds so cool. I really, really want to find scheduled times to just sit in my room and play OSU on the weekends, you are more than welcome to check out the tournament forum. This is where you can find tournaments. You can scroll through. The best ones will have these sorts of graphics and you'll see schedules and things like that. So usually actually you'll see dates for each specific round. So I think this one, for example, yeah, so this one you can see that each round has its dates listed. And yeah, I'll have the main page of the tournament forum linked in the description. But yeah, especially if you get more involved in the tournament community, you might end up finding yourself teaming up with the same couple of people throughout many different team tournaments. And honestly, if you do get really involved in the tournament community, then I will actually hope that that happens to you because I think that is a really, really fun way to make new friends and just have a more enjoyable time throughout your career playing OSU tournaments. You'll start to develop these sorts of inside jokes or just sort of remember different crazy events that happen to you guys. And one day, like maybe 4 or 5 years later, you'll be able to just catch up with each other and just kind of reminisce on all the different fun memories that you guys had together, the the troll times, the specific maps where you had like one person carry, or, you know, maps you couldn't play. Part of the reason I'm sort of sharing this is because that kind of happened to me recently. I was meeting up with a couple friends that I know through Osu. We played a bunch of tournaments in the past. That's why I was not uploading for like 10 days, by the way, in case you were wondering. And there would be these times at night where we just kind of sit around in a circle and just talk about a bunch of different tournaments that we played. Sometimes we had 1v1 matches against each other and just kind of reminisce on that stuff. I think it's really, really fun. I think Osu tournaments are a really fun way to find new people and connect with them. And I guess that goes with any sort of semi-competitive environment. But I think if you're passionate enough about Osu to really, really be involved, and I guess to the point where you're watching this video all the way through, then I think Osu tournaments are definitely at least worth considering. You can try one or two, see if you can get involved in a community or things like that. But yeah, what inspired this video is really just wanting to talk about the scheduling that you'll have to sort of keep in mind, weekend availability and things like that. But yeah, hopefully this video was insightful to some of you guys, and I will see you next time.